New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome. And now the good news. I'm Barbara Jean, your host, and we have got some great stories here for you this evening. We're going to start off with a continuation. We've been talking about the beluga whales who have been shipped from Marineland here in Ontario, Canada, and being shipped down into the US. And well, we had some in Chicago, I think it was last week or the week before. And today we're talking about SeaWorld. SeaWorld completes its largest captive whale transportation operation in the nation's history. So SeaWorld San Antonio recently welcomed 7 rescued beluga whales following a nearly 2,000-mile journey as part of an urgent, unprecedented international effort to relocate 30 belugas from a closed marine park in Canada that can no longer support their care. They joined 2 rescued male belugas who arrived on July 21st as part of the first transport and set a national record for the largest movement of captive whales ever undertaken by a zoo or aquarium. Given this is the largest number of belugas being moved at any one time, we are so happy that all went well, and the second transport of this huge rescue effort is complete, said Steve Albell, Vice President, Animals and Conservation for SeaWorld San Antonio. All 7 female belugas are now at SeaWorld San Antonio. They are receiving veterinary care, nutrition, and attention as they acclimate to their new environment. The Good News Network reported on the previous group of belugas to depart captivity in Ontario towards bluer pastures stateside when 4 females flew to Chicago. And we had talked about that story just a couple of weeks ago. Keep harnessed on board in specialized water containers with 24-hour veterinarian supervision. They arrived at the Abbott Oceanarium complex at Shedd Aquarium on July 22nd. Moving animals like beluga whales, even under the best of circumstances, is challenging. As you can well imagine, they weigh thousands and thousands of pounds. Plus, they require a lot of really important care. For the 7 beluga whales that headed off towards San Antonio, the process was exactly the same, only more intense. The 7 female whales who were chosen to move together in a subpod are named Xena, Gemini, Skylar, Nika, Eve, Neva, and Calypso. The whales are currently housed in a private habitat away from the public view, while animal care staff focus on their transition. Caretakers are letting each whale adjust to their own pace, watching closely for signs that they are eating well, resting comfortably, and beginning to interact with one another in their new surroundings. So I'm really happy to hear this news. Marineland was a bit of a nightmare up here in Canada, and we're really glad they are no longer in charge of these whales. All right, so Japan's doing something cool. They have developed eco fireworks with water-soluble shells to cut back on debris. It's a great idea. When a man who loves things that go boom met a man who loves things that go bloom, they realized there was much to gain from an alliance. The professors uh, from Kakanoko Fireworks Industry Company and the university professor have created and brought to market what may be the world's first water-soluble fireworks shells and canisters. Of the 20,000 fireworks we plan to produce this year, I want 10,000 to be eco-friendly, said one of the developers. Uh, Mr. Kakanoki met Professor Nakaoki in 2018 when the former had been trying to R&D more environmentally friendly fireworks shells, but had then lately abandoned the effort due to repeated failures working with resins. Rather than develop an entirely new material, the new shells use a water-soluble resin commonly applied to agricultural seeds and soil improvers. Being sloppy like hot caramel when wet, the shell can vanish into the ecosystem through this already approved harmless medium, and no street sweeper need be troubled in the days after a holiday. How great is that? Doing something environmentally friendly with something that is frankly so pretty. We like fireworks, most of us, don't we? Yeah. Okay, well, here's a good one. Santa Claus is delivering something very special. So, this particular town's beloved Santa Claus delivers a very special present to someone in need. He donated his kidney. A man who dresses up every year as Santa Claus to spread Christmas cheer has just delivered a very special present. Though Central Virginia is far too hot for Santa's reindeer to fly over, the gift couldn't wait until December. Dave Bell is well known as the town's go-to Santa Claus and has done so for years, lighting up children's faces with smiles and Powhatan. Bell recently donated a kidney to an anonymous recipient and wore the Santa hat on the hospital bed during recovery at Henrico Doctors Hospital. I have two of these things and I only need one, Bell said. There's somebody who has none and they need one. Though demonstrating his commitment to the Santa spirit and the spirit of Christmas besides, Bell now has a lot of work to do to get back into Santa shape in time for the holidays. He had to shed 40 pounds to be eligible to donate. Stories like Dave's make organ donation feel real and personal. Dr. Amanda Bailey, transplant surgeon at the Virginia Transplant Center at Henrico Doctors Hospital, told WTBR. They show that donation is possible and that one person can make an enormous difference in someone else's life. So if you haven't signed that donor card, you might want to do that. Okay, so here's an inspiring CEO. This inspiring CEO gives his company to charity after working 80-hour weeks for 58 years, saving it from bankruptcy. Yeah. So Grady White Boats market their vessels as the finest boats ever crafted, which is quite the statement. The Good News Network cannot comment on boat quality, but they certainly don't make humans like Grady White's ex-CEO much anymore. For 58 years, Eddie Smith Jr. worked 80 to 100-hour work weeks to salvage the near-bankrupt boat builder and turn it into a 9-figure revenue generator that will now power philanthropy in perpetuity. That's perpetuity, excuse me. That's because Smith turned down multiple offers around $500 million in order to pass controlling stakes in Grady White Boats to a purpose trust that will operate it according to his values and convert its bottom line into community service, conservation, and other philanthropic causes. Profiled by Preston Four at Fortune magazine, Smith said he was inspired by entrepreneurs like Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, who also turned the brand into a financial engine for conservation and climate change prevention. I just think that those of us that are fortunate enough to be in a position to help others, it's really a gift to me to be able to do what I do, Smith told Fortune. Born to a father who was orphaned at age 10 during the Great Depression, Smith Jr. grew up near the poverty line. The first break was when his father worked enough odd jobs to start a mail order business. The son, who remembers eating Spam 3 times a week, then lied about his age to get a job on a paper route before becoming the first in his family to graduate from college in 1965, the University of North Carolina. Finding Grady White boats in a near bankrupt state, Smith Jr., who described himself as having an entrepreneurial itch to prove himself, borrowed some money, took over the business, forsaking golf, his favorite pastime, for over 30 years. He proceeded to pour his heart and soul into the project before successfully turning it around to the state it's in today, where revenues average over $100 million per year. After he lost his wife and then his son to ALS, his golden years seemed abruptly gray, and suddenly the big offers he was receiving to sell the company and potentially destroy the culture of self-betterment and hard work that he tailor-made over the decades became easy to turn down. He looked around at his other CEO friends and saw that those who sold their businesses had lost their way. All of them were really disappointed in what happened to their companies after the sale. They lost their culture that they had built, and I just couldn't bear the thought of that happening. Well, way to go. That is really super good news. Smith, you are a champ. Isn't that beautiful? Well, on that note, let's take a short little commercial break, and we'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away. More good news to come.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Well, it's never too late to get an education. Well, in this story shows that it is never too late to learn. A man in the UK has graduated from nursing school at age 64. His education actually saw the Nigerian immigrant, who is a father of 5, studying alongside his son, who was attending the very same university. John Adesoye graduated with a degree in nursing from the University of West England after completing a 2-year nurse associate program and a 2-year nurse apprenticeship program at the National Health Services Foundation Trust in Bristol. John grew up in a poor farming family in Nigeria and developed a keen interest in electronics, having been fascinated as a child with how his family's radio worked. He later lived in Greece, working as an electronics technician and servicing electronic equipment, and then moved to the UK. The father of 5, who now lives in Bristol, has secured a nursing role at Southmead Hospital, where he had completed his apprenticeship. I didn't think I'd ever go to university, to be honest, but I have passion for learning. Even when I was small, I was so curious. When I got the chance to go to university, I didn't take it for granted. I followed it with my heart. Though most of his degree was completed at the local Southmead Hospital, a strange production of fate saw him spend one day of every week studying on campus alongside none other than his very own son, Daniel, who was studying for a degree in creative music technology. He remarked that working among a cohort of young students in turn made him feel young again. Whether seeing his own son at university had the same effect, however, he didn't say. Don't listen to people who say you're too old for university. If I can do it, others can too. Isn't that beautiful? So, whatever you're thinking, you're never too old. Okay, here's a very sweet story. This stranger gives a piano to a young boy. From Colorado comes the story of a child prodigy pianist whose career was kickstarted by a jaw dropping donation from a complete stranger. Brought to us via CBS News On the Road with Steve Hartman, the story began on the mock ebony and ivory of an unused electric keyboard forgotten in a basement 5 years ago. It was found one fateful day by Jude Kofi, then a tender 9 year old and son of Ghanaian immigrant and father of four, Isaiah. The autistic boy put his hands on the keys and was changed forever. A Mozart savant style talent had lain hidden his whole life. As Jude began to express his miracle talent, he made the headlines of the local paper in Aurora, which is where Bill Magnuson, a local piano tuner, first read about the boy. Intrigued, the piano lover came to a talent show and saw firsthand what Jude could do. He's beyond special, Magnuson told Hartman in an interview. He's Mozart level. It's coming from somewhere beyond. Hearing of his father Isaiah's life story as an immigrant who raises four children and routinely sends remittances to family in Ghana was all Magnuson needed to convince himself to make a big decision, a $15,000 decision. One day, without warning, a truck pulled up to the Kofi household, followed by a knock on the door. Magnuson had spent a good chunk of his family inheritance to buy a brand new grand piano for Jude. Somebody to just love your son like that by making sure that his future is secured. We are super thankful, Isaiah said, wiping tears from his eyes. The piano also came with a lifetime of tuning services provided by theirs truly and a program of professional lessons which have transformed Jude from a 9 year old prodigy to a 14-year-old touring maestro with his own album. Introducing Jude Kofi. I'm going to have to get that. None of it would have been possible, one can't help feeling, without the costly intervention of a total stranger. Someone who, as Hartman concluded, isn't a stranger anymore. There are a lot of good people in this world, and sometimes we just have to let people know what's going on with us. Okay, so here's a rare thing, mono twins. So when Carrie Zerbs and her husband learned they were expecting twins, they were already parents to three children. Oh, youch. The surprise quickly turned into shock when doctors revealed they weren't just having identical twins. They were expecting an extraordinarily rare set of monoamniotic or mono twins. While identical twins occur in about 1 in every 250 pregnancies, mono twins are far less common, occurring in only about 1 in 10,000 pregnancies. Unlike most twins, mono twins share both a single placenta and a single amniotic sac. That creates serious risks because their umbilical cords can become tangled, potentially cutting off the baby's oxygen and blood supply. I think I'm still trying to wrap my head around how rare it is, actually, Carrie said. Because of the high risk, Carrie was placed on hospital bed rest so doctors could closely monitor the babies. As the pregnancy progressed, the situation became even more concerning. One baby was transfusing blood to the other, leaving baby A especially small with an enlarged heart. When the twins reached 30 weeks, doctors decided it was time to deliver them. The first moments were frightening. Fiona, known as baby A during the pregnancy, wasn't breathing after birth and had to be intubated. Both girls spent time in the neonatal intensive care unit while doctors and nurses cared for them. After weeks of uncertainty, the family finally received the news they had been hoping for. Fiona and her sister Phoebe were healthy enough to go home. Look at those little beans. Now, 1 year later, the remarkable twins have reached another milestone. Phoebe and Fiona recently celebrated their first birthday and are happy, healthy, and thriving. After a pregnancy filled with uncertainty and months of anxious waiting, their story is now a joyful reminder that sometimes the rarest beginnings can lead to the happiest endings. How sweet is that? Pair of little cuties. All right, well, here's mom being a great mom. Jessica Fletcher For Jessica Fletcher, a simple tattoo has become something far more meaningful than body art. It has become a permanent way for her 11-year-old autistic son, Hunter, to share his thoughts with the world, proving that sometimes the most life changing ideas come from an unexpected moment. Hunter is nonverbal and typically communicates using an augmentative and alternative communication device, a tablet that allows him to select words and symbols. But during a recent trip to a restaurant, the device's battery died, leaving him without his usual way to express himself. Jessica quickly drew the alphabet on a piece of paper so Hunter could spell out what he wanted to eat. Instead, Hunter surprised her. He flipped the paper over, drew a keyboard from memory, and typed his order with his finger. That moment completely changed the way Jessica thought about communication. That sparked the idea for me that I can't limit him to technology because technology does fail us, she explained. Determined to make sure Hunter would always have a way to communicate, Jessica worked with a tattoo artist to place a keyboard on her forearm. The design includes letters, a happy face, a sad face, and even a I heart you button, giving Hunter an easy way to express both words and emotions anytime they are together. Beyond serving as a reliable backup when technology isn't available, the tattoo also gives Hunter a quieter, more private way to communicate. Unlike an AAC device that speaks every selected word aloud, he can simply tap the letters on his mother's arm. Jessica believes the tattoo represents something much bigger than convenience. When we remove communication barriers, we're giving non speakers the chance to show us who they really are. Whew, that is one powerful message. That is awesome. Well, okay, now we got to have a funny story. Got to have a little laugh here. So, a 500-piece puzzle has a secret, but you can only find it once you finish putting it together. A photo of a completed jigsaw puzzle has been making the rounds on social media after people noticed something hilarious hidden in the finished image. At first glance, looks perfectly normal. The puzzle box shows a beautiful scenic landscape, and that's exactly what puzzlers expect to create. But after carefully placing all 500 pieces together, they discover one tiny detail that wasn't pictured on the box. A dog squatting, doing its business. Oops. Naturally, many people wondered if it was an accidental printing mistake or an intentional joke, and as it turns out, it was no accident. We tracked down the company behind the puzzle, and hidden surprises like this are exactly what they specialize in. The prank puzzle is intentionally designed so the image on the box doesn't quite match the completed puzzle. Only the last few pieces are in place. Once the last few pieces are in place, the unexpected canine cameo appears, giving unsuspecting puzzlers one final surprise. The company even embraces the joke on its website, writing, "Nothing's more beautiful than a scenic landscape, unless there's a dog pooping in it." This prank 500-piece puzzle features a squatting canine that isn't seen on the box cover. Just remove the label and gift it to a puzzle lover to crack them up when they finish and find the surprise. That is pretty funny. Okay, here's a very sweet story, and I thought it would just be perfect to round out our night. A stranger asked to eat lunch on her porch. One simple yes changed their lives. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can completely change someone's life. All it took was one woman saying yes to an unexpected request from a stranger, and what began as a difficult day ended with a friendship that neither of them could have imagined. Dara, who works at a Wendy's in Palm Beach County, Florida, was feeling overwhelmed during her work shift and needed a quiet place to collect herself. Instead of walking all the way home on her break, she wandered through a nearby neighborhood until she found herself standing in front of a house she had never seen before. I paced back and forth for their little minute, like, go home or stay, go home or stay. Finally, she gathered the courage to ring the doorbell. When homeowner Abigail Wangulu answered through her ring camera, Dara made an unusual request. Hi, I work at the Wendy's over there. I'm on my break and didn't want to walk all the way home. Can I just sit there and eat my lunch? Abigail admits the request caught her completely off guard. I thought Wendy's delivered, she joked. But after the initial surprise, Abigail chose compassion instead of suspicion. She invited Dara to sit on the porch and enjoy her lunch. That simple moment meant everything to Dara. I was trying not to cry when I was eating because I was so happy she said yes. Abigail later shared the ring camera footage on TikTok, where millions of people were touched by the interaction. As viewers flooded the comments asking what happened next, Abigail realized she wanted to meet the woman who had unexpectedly knocked on her door. The following day, she visited the Wendy's where Dara works. At first, Dara was a little embarrassed. I was avoiding her for the first couple of minutes. I kept saying, I was busy. Abigail laughed while recalling the encounter. You hid from me. You hid. You were like filling an empty cup. Eventually, the two sat down together, and what could have been nothing more than a memorable story quickly became a genuine friendship. According to both women, they instantly clicked. It was natural. We just clicked. Since then, they've shared dinners, explored West Palm Beach together, laughed until they cried, and even started creating videos together. We just laugh at the littlest things for no reason, Abigail said. Maybe because she's goofy. I am too, Dara added. Their friendship has also changed the way they look at the world. Abigail says Dara inspired her to step outside the social norms that often keep strangers from connecting. She inspired me to be more against the current and not kind of follow the current trends of what people, think we should be doing. Dara hopes others will remember a lesson that is much simpler. Understand others' situations. Understand their situation and be nice. When Abigail learned that Dara walks to work every day, she helped launch a GoFundMe to raise money for a car. Since then, nearly $8,000 has been donated by strangers who first discovered Dara through the viral video. Looking back, neither woman expected a random knock on a stranger's door to become the beginning of such an important friendship. For Abigail, it reinforced the importance of choosing kindness. I would say we need more kindness in the world, especially on social media, because, as you said, we're always seeing such negative things. And for Dara, the porch where she simply hoped to find a quiet place to eat lunch became the place where she found something even more meaningful, a lifelong friend. Well, that is, and now the good news for this Friday. Ooh, we're into August now, August the 7th. Well, I am so delighted that you were here tonight, that you took the time to watch, to learn something new, and to share in these positive messages that we get mainly from the Good News Network, but also from the, oh my goodness, brain. Anyway, lots of good news. I want to invite you to like, share, and subscribe. And by the way, consider donating to the New Thought Media Network. Let's keep this network on the air. 24-hour radio, great interviews, prayers, you name it, it's here. So check out our schedule for what's coming up and be sure to stick around when we'll see you here again next week. Same time, same channel. Have a wonderful week. This is Barbara Jean signing off. Bye for now.